Hey everyone, it's Seth, and today we're going to talk about what happens when you lock your knees. So this is a question I got from my client this week. It was a pretty basic yes-no question. He wanted to know, should I lock my knees? So I could give a yes-no answer, but I'm not going to do that. And here's the reason why. The important thing for any question like this, should I move this way? Should I move that way? Of course, it's good to get some guidance if you're really confused, but you can often figure these things out for yourself if you tune into your own sensations. And this is what I want to show you here today. So, should I lock my knees or should I not lock my knees? Well, to begin with, stand, have your knees soft, just a normal kind of a standing, and then feel how that is. How are you doing? Lock your knees. How do you feel now? Okay? Just get an initial impression. Would I rather stand like this for hours on end, or would I rather have my knees a little softer? Now, this isn't definitive, but it just gives you a basic first glimpse. Sometimes there's a pattern that objectively is better for you, is more efficient, and yet it's so far outside of your normal habits that you experience it as awkward, and you kind of think, no, I don't like that, and you go back to a more inefficient thing that you're very familiar with, and it feels like home. It feels like you, and you say, that's better. So that could be playing out here. So we're going to investigate in a little more detail. All right, so you're standing. And first of all, if you just stand, maybe you tend to lock your knees automatically, or maybe you tend to have your knees soft automatically as a sort of a default. So just notice what your default is either way. But as you're standing, let's say the knees are soft for now, and just concentrate on your breathing for a few breaths. Just feel the rhythm of the inhalations, the exhalations. Feel how much movement is going on in the torso. Do the ribs move? Does the breastbone move? What's it like to breathe right now? Do you have more breath on one side of the chest? Just see how comfortable your breathing is. Okay? And then continue to observe the breathing as you lock the knees. Again, what's the rhythm of your breathing? What's your sense of how capable you are of really completely filling your lungs? Not sure? Unlock the knees again. Does the breath change? Again, it might take a few times to really be clear, but the question is, do I breathe better when my knees are locked or when my knees are unlocked? Now, I don't know if it'll come through, but because I'm feeling a change in my breath when I lock the knees. I have my knees locked right now. This is me talking to you with knees locked, and of course I have to breathe to speak. So there's maybe a certain quality in my voice right now that you can pick up on as I have my knees locked. And then you can notice as I right now unlock my knees, does my voice sound any different to you? I don't know, it might be a subtlety, but again, for yourself, lock the knees, listen to your breathing, unlock the knees, listen to your breathing. Now, I'd also like to say at this point that if you go back and forth, you might not always get a consistent result. Will I always breathe better here and it's always more difficult there? But I think that if you come back to this often, you'll tend to find that there is a pattern that emerges. But, there's different things going on. There's different factors. Someday your breathing might not be as easy as another day for completely different reasons. So it's useful to think of things a different way. So let's look at a different question, which is the length of the spine. In other words, how tall do you feel right now? And you might just for yourself deliberately sort of experiment with thinking of the head floating on top of the spine, kind of as if you're being lifted, and see what that's like, see how it feels to breathe there, and then deliberately kind of let your head sink a little, feel a little compression through the spine, right? It doesn't have to be a big thing. But how little of a difference in the position of the head and the sense of spaces between the vertebrae can you notice a difference in your comfort? What do you prefer? Do you like to have a long spine? Do you like that feeling of compression? Okay, so maybe you have a sense of what you'd like to feel in your spine from doing that. But now, stand, have your knees soft, get a sense of your spine, If you're indoors, you can even think, how far is the top of my head from the ceiling? Obviously, I can't do that here, but I have a sense of where is the top of my head. And then if I lock my knees, what happens to the level of my head? Now, if you look carefully, you might be able to see it. This is me with unlocked knees. And now I'm going to lock my knees again. So do you see a difference in the height of my head? In any case, try it for yourself. When do you feel taller? When do you feel shorter? And again, you might come back to the breathing as well, just to have a couple of different things that you're looking at here. Let me give you a couple more areas that you can pay attention to. I think hopefully what's becoming clear is there's something about the knees that we're doing, but the change is global, right? For every action you do, it's really impossible. We like to separate out our parts. Well, what should the knees do? But whatever it is that the knees should do, they probably need to consider, or we probably need to consider what our knees, not those knees that are not mine, but it's you, right? It's not just the knees, it's you. So what do you feel in your belly? So again, to give a sort of a sense of what you could feel, maybe breathe a couple times and really fill your belly, right? Here's my belly button, but I'm thinking of breathing low down, almost into the pelvic floor, right? Of course, I breathe into my lungs, but if I expand through the belly, it makes more room for the diaphragm to descend. And there might be something nice about having an expanded belly. And if we refer back to what we were just talking about, how tall am I? I could suck my gut in, I could sort of tighten. Maybe you hear a change in my voice, and maybe there's a change in your stature again, your height. So for now, see if you can enjoy a feeling of a little bit of a open, full belly. Whether or not that's your habit, just try it on for size. See if you can enjoy that for a moment. But then what happens in your belly if you lock your knees? Do you find that there's also a contraction somewhere in the belly? Can you maintain a full belly? Go back to having soft knees. When is it easier to keep that sense of expansion through the belly? When your knees are locked or when they're a bit softer? Okay, another place to check is the eyes. So if you take a moment to kind of have your eyes a little more open and think of them as being soft, try to bring in the periphery so you can sort of see a wide what's going on around you. Then what happens to your eyes if you lock your knees? Do you feel any change in the muscles around the eyes? Do the eyes squint or narrow? And then unlock the knees, right? Over and over, you're just locking and unlocking the knees. But now you can pay attention to 1, your basic sense of comfort. 2, the quality of your breathing. 3, the length of your spine. 4, the sense of what's happening in your belly, if you can keep it expanded. And 5, what's going on with your eyes. So that's plenty, isn't it? But let me just give you one more way that you can play with this, and you can use all of those qualities as a way of checking. And that's simply to bend one knee and place it, if you have a chair or anything, just to raise it up a little. And now obviously this knee is bent, and so I'm not going to think about locking or unlocking this knee, but I'm standing over, in this case, my right leg, and what am I going to do with my right knee? Well, obviously I'm going to lock it and I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to see what do I feel. But and it may turn out that it seems like a little bit of a different situation than standing over both legs and doing it. But take a moment and do be clear that you can have your legs straight and not locked. Locking the knee, another way of referring to it, is hyperextension. So that's like extended more than normal. That's that hyper kind of, it clues you in that this is not sort of the normal thing, but it's possible, right, to take it a little further back, almost like you were taking your knee behind your heel. Okay? But over one leg, how do I breathe if that knee is soft? How do I breathe if I've locked out that knee? And there's a balance question here too, obviously, on one leg. So you investigate those things, and I think you'll find something interesting. Now, just one last point to make. If you do this on one side, you wouldn't say I was just doing an exercise, but I was using my attention to really notice something along one side. And there's something I can feel right now, and I think you might feel it too, if you do what I just did, is there's actually a different sense of clarity through the right side of my body as compared to the left, because of how I just used my attention on one side. And then, of course, if you like, you can put the other leg up and you can do the other side, and maybe you'll feel a more of a symmetrical feeling again. But it's worth noticing that these changes come from how we pay attention. And it's paying attention in this way that's going to help you develop new habits. So maybe you can answer the question now, should I lock my knees or not? But if you're not sure, just go back to any of these different little investigations that I showed you here today. And I would suggest, do it from time to time. If you're not clear, if this is a question for you around your knees, just keep coming back and trying these different things. I think over time, if you really do pay attention, you're going to discover that your habit takes you towards the more efficient pattern of supporting your weight through your legs and what to do with your knees. Hey, I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. And if you would like to get a free training that will go further with this idea of really developing high quality attention, which is the secret to leveling up your movement practice, look for my website below, movewithseth.com. You can head over there and get a free training, which is all about that topic. So thanks for watching today, and I will see you next time.